What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and today I have something really neat to share with you. This is my take on Vernusylph Earth Machine. Earth Machine has been something I've been wanting to visit for quite some time. They've had a lot of pseudo support come out recently with a lot of different Earth stuff happening and machine stuff happening, between Vernusylph having multiple waves of support coming out that coincides with the deck quite well, the original Earth support in the form of Therians, the Clockwork Knight that just made its debut not more than a month or two ago, and now we have the Road Roller, the new piece of Infinitrack support in another form of an extender that will be out here down the line in a few months from now. So I figured this would be a good time to touch up on the deck, showcase a few of the changes and where I've kind of landed on it for now. And of course, before we get started, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my new subs. I will not be doing a public shout out till a few weeks from now. I am actually out of town and pre-recording a couple of videos, going on vacation, escaping this massive snowstorm if you're anywhere in the Midwest, and I'll be running down to North Carolina to have some cool fun time at the beach and escaping and just relaxing a little bit. But I wanted to make sure that content was prepped and ready for you all, so I will have a few things to shout out when I get back and acknowledge every single one of you. But of course, with all that said, we'll go ahead and hop right into the deck profile. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with the monsters. Starting off here, we have three of the Flowering Fields. This is one of the ones I am most preferred to right now. This you just discard itself and then either a Vernusylph or an Earth monster as cost. Then you can target an Earth monster in your grave and add it back to your hand. I like this because Earth Machine is so combo centric already and just does a lot already, so you don't really need too much extension, and this is just an extra body that helps, as well as it just gets you that piece back from your grave to your hand. Helps in combination with things like droplets or different things just to get back mid-late game. I really like these as those type of extenders. In line with that, we also play just the guy for the mountains. This is essentially an upstart goblin, but again, you discard this card plus another Earth monster or Vernusylph to special summon a Earth from your graveyard, and then you draw a card. So this is just essentially a free monster reborn that helps fix your hand. In reality, you could do a build where if you're not sure on running a ton of Vernusylphs, this is probably by far the best one, but this is the ones that I've landed on as extenders that I really like. Of course, you can change your package and change your ratios. I'm a little bit condensed because I'm trying to keep this around 40 cards. But still, we'll go ahead and talk about the Infinitracks. Again, 3 Dozer, always 3 Dozer. You can cut this depending, but for my build, I like seeing Dozer in my hand, so I don't have to waste as many searches or other extenders to get Dozer. And you're almost always going to have a monster on board now, especially with the Vernusylphs, that it's really just fine no matter what. And it's essentially just a free special summon of any of your guys that doesn't require a normal summon when you pair it with Vernusylphs. 3 Metal Cruncher, this is most likely your primary normal summon of the deck that you are dedicated to. On summon, it reveals 3 Earth monsters. Your opponent randomly then adds one of them to your hand. From there, we also play 3 Harvester. There's not a big deal in playing multiple normal summons in this deck now, as it was because of Vernusylph, because you can just use one of them with the Vernusylph as the extension and the other as the primary normal summon of your deck. And in a lot of cases, you can still do full combo without even dedicating a normal summon. From there, we play 2 Dairy Crane and 1 Bullet Train. Still on the 3 here. I like this just because you can reveal at least all 3 of these off of Metal Cruncher and then guarantee getting a additional level 10 to your hand. You don't have to gamble and throw out a third name or something like that. So that really just makes it easier. And then we play the 1 Citadel, the 1 Ruin Force, and the 1 Fortress. You could place 2 Fortress. I was really upping the count. If you're on Therians, I would definitely bump Fortress up. It's an amazing extender, but with the ability to just dump more stuff in the grave through Vernusylph, I wanted to go ahead and throw Ruin Force back in. It's definitely a really solid extender and just helps close games really quickly. And then for the 1-ofs in the Infinitrack world, we play the 1 Tunneler for the recycling, the 1 Trencher, it's the mandatory extender, the 1 Anchor Drill, and the 1 Box, just so you have a little bit of diversity on what you're searching off of a card like Ballista. And then eventually, obviously, Box, you want more than 1 target. So that's pretty much it for the monsters. Pretty straightforward there. We'll go ahead and move on to the spells here. 3 Redeployment. All the spells, and that's really the cool thing about this deck, is all power cards. This deck just does so much on its own. It's really, really kind of unfair. The amount of resource game and advantage this deck has is nuts. There's so many different variants, including floodgates like skill drain, goes in, rivalry. You can pretty much get away with doing any variation of this build. I'm liking the combo-centric build a little bit more myself right now and just doing that resource loop. But 3 redeployment helps you get what you need. Same thing with 3 urgent schedule. This is like probably one of the best cards ever printed. There were still decks just solely built around this card way back when, which was just level 10 train beatdown. Is really nuts. Like this with skill drain is just insane. And then we play 2 heavy forward. I cut this down a little bit because we are playing a few extra different things here. The new addition to Clockwork Knight, absolutely amazing card. Banishes it from your grave to then add an earth monster from your deck to your hand, and then discard a card. It's essentially getting you any of your earth machines. Like mainly in this case, you would search something like Regulus or Citadel or different things like that. And it's a nice way to just get something in the grave, a really easy banish to add, and then pitch Citadel, add pitch Fortress, add pitch Ruin Force, and then it's already live and good to go for you. And then from there, we play 2 droplet. You can bump this up, or if you prefer a card like Regulus, you can do that as well. But just because cards like Clockwork Knight are here, Urgent Schedule is here, and our trap in the form of Machina Overdrive, we do play 3, that pair so well with a card like Forbidden Droplet, you have the freedom to really kind of abuse this card in this deck more like no other. The resource loop is absolutely insane. Overdrive just lets you do anything you want at all times. It's absolutely amazing. So that's it for the main deck. An easy 40 cards. You, again, can change up the ratios. You could do Therians. You could do a heavier Vernusylph package. You could just do however you want. But this is what I've been enjoying right now. Just something a little bit different to screw around with in the meantime, as well as the fact that they're all Earth. You don't have to worry about the Bestials shutting off about 10%, 25% more so, about a quarter of their deck, about 10 cards in most builds now, since they're on 9 to 10 Bestials, is really, really good. So onto the extra deck, we play 1 Leeb. You can play more than 1 if you want, but I think 1 is perfectly fine. If you're making this, you should be closing out the game on that summon anyway. And then we also play, I'm a little bit heavier on the 10s here just because the Vernusylphs add so much more abilities to get those back out of the grave and reborn those extra names. Abusing a card like Dairy Crane is really, really nice, so that's kind of where I've landed. Super Dora, a great piece of unaffected material there. And then obviously 2 Gustav Max here, lets you burn in time. Again, you could replace this. You don't need to necessarily run an extra copy of each of these if you want a second Leeb, if you want to play double Zeus, if you want to focus more on rank 8s and play Dingirsu, you have the freedom to do that. There's so many things you can go with this deck. And then for the 9s, though, we do play 1 Slicer and 1 Blathnir. Pretty straightforward, not much to say here. 1 and 1 is almost always mandatory. Slicer is an absolutely insane card. I love making this. Anytime I resolve it, it just feels like the game is over. It's so, so good. And then, of course, the 1 Zeus. Again, if you want to bump this up, you can, but at least 1 is perfectly fine because you're usually locked into Earth machines, but not always. So the 1 Zeus is still just nice to have. After that, we play 1 Gaia Dragon Thunder Charger. This is a really cool pair with River Stormer. I really like teching this in, especially mid-late game if you're not really locked into anything yet. Being able to tribute something like Goliath, bring this back, overlay Poke, and then overlay into Zeus is really, really powerful. And then rounding it out into the links, we play 3 Goliath. This is just standard. Don't really do a whole lot, but again, you're running through all of these really quickly to get the tunneler draw and just prevent stuff from going back in your main deck to dilute those draws. And then the last 2, 1 Ballista and 1 Anger Knuckle. Ballista obviously gets you your box and helps start your resource loop, and Anger Knuckle is just a good piece of control to help utilize, again, that rank 10 engine. So that is it for the main deck. That's it for the extra deck. I wanted to do something cool, short, and sweet. Depending on the love this gets, I might make a combo guide or a full guide on this deck with all the different variants because there's just so much you can do with this and so many different profiles and builds. It's really hard to shove it all into just one quick thing. So share this, give this some love, and I will see you all in the next one. Later.